Exercise 1715, horizontal analysis. So data for the McCormick Designs Incorporated is as follows. So what we got here is our comparative income statements. We've got the previous year and then the current year. But this information is also replicated down here, so we really do not need this window at this time. So our first requirement is prepare a horizontal analysis of comparative income statements for McCormick Designs. Now this is key. Round percentage changes to one decimal place. And here's a format, x.x. And notice they've already have the they already have the percentage sign on here for us, so we do not need to put that in there. And then it says use a minus sign or parentheses to indicate a decrease. So as you remember, hopefully you remember from the previous video, the formula for percentage change is new minus old divided by old. And when we say new, we're talking about the newest data, so 2016, minus old, the prior year data, divided by old, the prior year data. So what they also want us to do, they've given us a column for amount of increase or decrease, and then the percentage. So right here, we just want the dollar amount of change, which is new minus old. So in this case, to get that, we're going to take 431,250 minus 373,000 gives us 58,250. So that's new minus old. And then to calculate the percentage change, it's this new minus old divided by old. So we're going to take 58,250 divided by 373,000 and then multiply that by 100 to convert it to a percentage. And that gives us 15.6. Now that's rounded to the nearest one decimal place. Without rounding, it's 15.616, but the authors want us to have one decimal place. Okay, so it looks like revenues increased almost 16%. That's pretty good. Now let's look at cost of goods sold. So the amount of change is new minus old. So when we do the math, that's 13,000. And then the percentage change is new minus old, the 13,000, divided by old, 189,000. That gives us 6.9%. So that's pretty significant difference. We've got revenues increasing by almost 16%, and our biggest expense, cost of goods sold, only increased by basically 7%. Now let's figure out the change in selling and admin expenses. So the amount of increase is 100,050 or minus 92,550. That gives us $7,500. And then the percentage change is the new minus old, 7,500, divided by old, 92,550. And that gives us an increase of 8.1%. And then we've got other expenses. They've increased from 2,150 to 8,000. So the amount of change is 5850. That's new minus old. And then to get the percentage change, we're going to take the new minus old divided by the old. And that gives us 272.1%. Now you might say, wow, this is really bad. These other expenses have increased astronomically, but overall they're still pretty minor in comparison to our other major expenses of COGS, cost of goods sold, and selling and admin expenses. So let's take a look at the change in total expenses. We got 310,050 minus 283,700. That gives us a change of 26,350. And then to calculate percentage change is the new minus old divided by the old. That gives us an increase of 9.3%. So this is really good news. Our revenues are increasing at almost 16%, and our expenses are only increasing at 9%. So our revenues are increasing significantly more than our expenses. And then our bottom line, net income, the percentage, the amount of change New minus old gives us a difference of 31,900. So now we take the new minus old divided by the old gives us an increase of 35.7%. Most excellent. Okay, now the authors are asking us, why did net income increase by a higher percentage than revenues? So how could our profits, net income, increase by basically 36%, but our sales, our revenue, only increased by 16%? Well, that's because our revenue increased at 16% approximately, while our expenses only increased by 9%. So our revenues increased at a higher rate than total expenses. And that's it.